You're doing laundry, Sunday afternoon, 2:30 p.m. You're folding your partner's jeans and something falls out of the pocket, a receipt from 3 days ago. Dinner at that Italian place, $87. And you're standing there confused because you checked the joint account this morning. There's no $87 charged from that restaurant. You scroll back through the week, nothing. So you check your partner's personal credit card statement, the one they use for their discretionary spending. Not there either. You're thinking, where did $87 come from? And then you remember, 2 months ago, they mentioned reading about a Japanese budgeting system that was supposed to reduce financial stress. Something about separate envelopes. You didn't pay much attention. You open their desk drawer, there are envelopes, cash envelopes, labeled dining out, $320, personal, $280, entertainment, $150. And there's a ledger, a physical notebook tracking every dollar. None of it connected to your joint financial system, none of it visible to you. And here's what you're realizing. Your partner has been running a completely separate financial system for 2 months, making decisions, allocating money, operating from a framework you don't have access to. And they think this is helping your marriage. They have no idea it's creating a financial opacity that's going to detonate your partnership. My name's Peter, and if you've ever discovered your partner has been managing money in a way you didn't know about, subscribe before we keep going. Because the Japanese cash envelope system that's supposed to reduce financial stress is actually creating control dynamics that destroy Western marriages.
So let's start with what this system actually is and why it seems so logical when you first encounter it. You're reading about Kakeibo. It's a Japanese budgeting method from 1904. The concept is simple. At the beginning of the month, you withdraw cash for different spending categories. You put the cash in physical envelopes. When the envelope is empty, you stop spending in that category. It's tangible, it's visual, it's supposed to create awareness and discipline. You can see your money. You can feel it decreasing. It makes spending real in a way that digital transactions don't. And there's a deeper element. In the traditional Japanese household financial model, one person, historically the wife, manages all household finances. The other partner receives a monthly allowance for personal spending. Everything else is managed centrally by the household financial administrator. This made sense in post-war Japan. One income, one financial manager, clear system. The working spouse didn't have to think about money. The managing spouse had complete control and visibility. It worked within that specific cultural and economic context. And now, this system is being promoted in American personal finance books and blogs as a solution to financial stress, the Japanese secret to financial harmony, ancient wisdom for modern money problems. So you try it. You're making $66,000. Your partner makes $59,000. You've been combining finances, joint checking for shared expenses, individual accounts for personal spending. It's been working fine, but there's always some friction, some disagreements about discretionary spending. You read about Kakeibo, you think this could help. Clear categories, physical cash, better awareness. You start implementing it. Month 1. You withdraw $1,200 cash at the beginning of the month. You create envelopes. Groceries, $520. Dining out, $280. Entertainment, $180. Personal, $220. You track everything in a notebook. Your partner sees the envelopes. They ask what you're doing. You explain, it's a budgeting system. It's supposed to help us spend more mindfully. I'm trying it out. They say, okay. They don't realize you've just created a parallel financial system that operates outside their visibility. They think you're just trying a new budgeting technique for your personal spending. Month 2. The system is working for you. You're more aware of your spending. You're staying within the cash limits. You feel in control. You decide to expand it. Now you're managing shared expenses through cash envelopes. You withdraw money from the joint account, $1,800 monthly. You allocate it to envelopes. You pay for groceries with cash from the envelope. You pay for household items with cash from the household envelope. Your partner looks at the joint account, sees an $1,800 withdrawal on the first of the month, labeled budget allocation. They assume it's going toward bills. They don't realize you've removed $1,800 from the digital system they can see and moved it to a cash system they can't track. Month 4. You're now managing $2,400 monthly through cash envelopes. That's $28,800 annually. Nearly half of your income is now flowing through a system your partner can't access or monitor. You think you're being financially responsible. You're actually creating financial opacity in your marriage. Most people think separate budgeting systems are about personal organization, about finding what works for you, about financial autonomy. That's not how it works. That's the trap. Here's what actually happens when you implement a single-person controlled cash system in a partnership that was operating on shared visibility. You create an information asymmetry that changes the power dynamic. Your partner makes decisions based on what they can see in the joint account. They see $3,200 remaining after your $1,800 withdrawal and other fixed costs. They think, we have $3,200 discretionary for the month. You know the real number. You've got $1,800 in cash envelopes plus the $3,200 visible. The household actually has $5,000 discretionary, but your partner doesn't know that. So when an unexpected expense comes up, $650 for a car repair, your partner is stressed. They're calculating, if we spend $650, we're down to $2,550 for the rest of the month. That's tight. You're sitting there knowing you have $1,800 in cash envelopes that could cover this easily. But bringing that up means explaining the entire cash system you've been running for 4 months without discussion. The relationship cost of disclosure feels higher than letting your partner be stressed about money that isn't actually tight. So you stay quiet. Your partner pays the $650 from the joint account. They spend the rest of the month worried about money. You spend the rest of the month knowing the worry is unnecessary, but being unable to say so without revealing the system. And here's where it compounds. Your partner starts making more conservative financial decisions because they think money is tighter than it is. They turn down a weekend trip with friends, $280, because they think the budget can't handle it. You know the budget can handle it. You've got surplus in the entertainment envelope. But again, explaining that means explaining the whole system. So you watch your partner sacrifice something they wanted because of a financial constraint that doesn't actually exist. Over 6 months, your partner makes 7 different decisions, declining opportunities, avoiding purchases, staying stressed about finances, based on incomplete financial information. And you let it happen because correcting the information means admitting you've been operating a separate financial system.
There's a specific psychological mechanism that makes single-person financial control systems toxic in Western partnerships. It's called information asymmetry combined with unilateral decision-making authority. Here's how it works. In the Japanese model this system came from, the asymmetry was expected and agreed upon. One person worked, one person managed money. The working spouse knew they didn't have financial visibility. That was the arrangement. It was explicit. In American marriages, there's a cultural expectation of shared financial partnership, not necessarily 50-50 contribution, but shared visibility and joint decision-making on household finances. When you implement a single-person controlled system without explicit agreement, you're creating asymmetry in a context that expects symmetry. And your brain does something interesting. It reframes control as service. You're not controlling the money, you're managing it. You're taking on the mental load of budgeting so your partner doesn't have to worry about it. You're doing them a favor. But management without visibility is control. And control without consent, even if it's well-intentioned, creates a power dynamic that's incompatible with partnership. You start making financial decisions unilaterally, not maliciously, just efficiently. You see the cash in the envelopes, you allocate it. You don't consult your partner because the system is working. You're staying under budget, everything's fine. But your partner isn't part of the decision process. They don't know how much is in each envelope. They don't know the allocation logic. They don't have input on priorities categories. They're financially dependent on your system without being part of it. And when they want to spend money on something that doesn't fit your envelope structure, they have to ask you, not in an explicit way, but functionally. They need to know, is there budget for this?
and you're the only one who knows, so you're the gatekeeper. You didn't set out to be a financial gatekeeper in your marriage, but that's what the system created. One person with information and control, one person without it. And that dynamic, even when it's created with good intentions, is corrosive to partnership. So let's run the math on what this asymmetry actually costs a relationship over 2 years. Direct costs? Your partner makes conservative decisions based on incomplete information. They decline opportunities, avoid spending, live with more financial stress than necessary. The quality of life cost of those decisions? Roughly $4,200 over 2 years in missed experiences and unnecessary stress. Indirect costs? Relationship tension from perceived financial inequality. Your partner feels like they're always asking permission. You feel like they're not appreciating your management efforts. That tension creates distance. You start having fewer money conversations because they're uncomfortable. The relationship cost isn't calculable in dollars, but it's real. Opportunity costs? Joint financial decisions made with incomplete information. You don't buy the house when you actually have adequate down payment because your partner doesn't know about the cash reserves. You delay starting a business that needed $8,000 seed capital. That opportunity had potential $30,000 annual upside. 2-year opportunity cost? $60,000. You maintained a system that felt organized and responsible. It cost your partnership $64,200 in missed opportunities plus unmeasurable relationship erosion. And the system was supposed to reduce financial stress. You're sitting at the kitchen table. Thursday night, 9:15 p.m. Your partner just found the envelopes. They're holding the ledger. They're looking at you. And they're asking, how long have you been doing this? You're thinking, if I say 4 months, they'll ask why I didn't mention it. If I explain it was supposed to help, they'll ask why helping required secrecy. If I defend it, they'll hear that I chose a system over partnership. And that tightness in your chest, it's not about the money. It's about the realization that you optimized for financial control and accidentally created relationship inequality. And there's no good way to explain the thing you thought was helping was actually hurting.
So here's how couples who actually build financial harmony think about money management differently. They recognize that budgeting systems are fine, but unilateral implementation of systems that create information asymmetry is not fine. Any financial system that makes one partner dependent on the other for information or permission isn't partnership, it's benevolent financial control. When they want to try a new budgeting method, they propose it. They explain it, they implement it together, or not at all. If one partner wants to use cash envelopes for personal spending, fine. But household finances stay visible to both partners. They maintain shared access to all financial information, not because they don't trust each other, because partnership requires equal information. You can't make good joint decisions if only one person knows the numbers. When they divide financial responsibilities, one person pays bills, one person tracks investments, they maintain transparency. The person not directly managing still has access, can still see, can still verify, can still participate in decisions. They recognize that efficiency is less important than partnership. Having one person manage everything is more efficient, but partnerships aren't optimized for efficiency. They're optimized for shared power and mutual respect. And that requires shared visibility even if it's less streamlined. This doesn't eliminate all financial disagreements, doesn't make budgeting effortless. But here's what it does. You stop being the gatekeeper of financial information in your own marriage. Your partner stops feeling like they need permission to spend money they earned. You both make decisions based on complete information. You eliminate the cognitive load of maintaining separate systems. You're not tracking cash envelopes that your partner can't see. You're not managing 2 different financial pictures, the real one and the one your partner has access to. You build actual financial partnership instead of managed financial dependency. And partnership, where both people have equal information and equal say, creates better household financial outcomes than even the most well-organized single-person system. You stop creating situations where your partner makes decisions based on incomplete information. They're not stressed about money that isn't actually tight. They're not declining opportunities that are actually affordable. They're operating with reality. Now, let me be clear about something. The Japanese cash envelope system isn't inherently bad. In the cultural context it came from, with explicit agreements about who manages money, it worked. But importing it into Western marriages without adapting for partnership expectations creates control dynamics that feel like management, but function as inequality. And most people don't realize they're creating inequality. They think they're being responsible, organized, helpful, taking the mental load off their partner. But removing mental load by removing access isn't help, it's control. And control, even well-intentioned, corrodes partnership. So here's the thing about the Japanese cash envelope system destroying American marriages. It's not that the system is bad, it's that single-person financial control. No matter how organized, how well-intentioned, how culturally validated, is incompatible with the partnership model that Western marriages are built on. Your cash envelopes might be perfectly organized. Your ledger might be meticulous. Your spending might be disciplined. But if your partner doesn't have equal access to information and equal say in decisions, you're not building financial harmony. You're building benevolent financial autocracy, and partnerships can't survive that, no matter how benevolent it is. Financial partnership isn't about using the same budgeting system. It's about maintaining information equality, even when you divide responsibilities. And no amount of organizational efficiency is worth the relationship cost of information asymmetry.